And hello, movie lovers, and welcome to the show. So, today I actually have two great guests with me. They were here for my 40-year-old version review. I have Rose and Courtney from the Fiction Fixation Podcast, and we're here to review one of my favorite movies, Practical Magic. And we're going to see how this thing holds up nostalgically, and then we're going to race the nostalgia afterwards. So, let's go on ahead. Let's do this. And hey, guys, welcome back to the show. I do appreciate you guys coming out here tonight.
Hey,
Thanks for
we're
having us.
yeah, thanks for having us.
You're very welcome. And I just want to say this. It was a pleasure to be able to review the 40-year-old version with me the couple of months back. I do appreciate that. We had a great time doing that. So I'm like, when I was picking out this movie, I'm like, well, what would be good for Rose and Courtney to review? So I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to go Practical Magic.
It was the perfect choice.
We'll never say
Thank
no. We'll review it again in a week.
Yeah. Let's do it every week.
I don't know. I think people got tired of the Christmas story for that. I don't think that they can handle a review of us doing this 24 hours.
This isn't about them.
That's
for
true.
us,
It's about
John.
us, not about them. But first of all, I want to actually mention this to everyone that's watching. We are actually sponsored by Fanatics. Fanatics is a sports store. Go ahead, get some stuff from Fanatics. Make yourself comfortable and get yourself something warm for the winter. And you guys can actually get that at the description below to actually support us. And now we're going to get started with our review for Practical Magic. So, what would you say that you would rank this for nostalgia? What was like the very first time that you've actually seen Practical Magic?
It's a 10 for nostalgia. It is a 10. And I think I saw it the first time. I think might have been 9, 10.
Yeah, I
So
can't
was like 9
remember.
or 10.
I can't remember how old I was, but it was around the time of release, probably like 1998. It came out in 97, right?
98.
98.
Okay, so probably was like 98, 99. Yeah, I would rate it a 10 as well. I gained a new appreciation on this most recent watch, and I'll go into that later.
I'm gonna have to go like a 7.5 out of 10 for me, just for the fact that for nostalgia, I didn't see this at the theaters or anything
Mhm.
like that growing up or anything like that. I was in junior high or high school whenever this came out. Matter of fact, I remember my nephew's mom. She's like, "Hey, look, I rented this movie from the video store called Practical Magic. Do you want to check it out?" And I'm like, "Yeah, well, I'll be glad to." So she let me borrow her rented copy from the VHS store. All I had to do was return it back to her, and she returned it back to the to the store. But I wound up
Yeah.
loving it. I loved Nicole Kidman. I thought that the chemistry between Nicole Kidman and Sandra Bullock was really good, very spot on. With that, the casting choices with this was good. From what I remember when I was in junior high, the music choices very 90s, which is something. You have Faith Hill on this. You have Marvin Gaye on it. I remember even owning the soundtrack to this. So
Yeah, the soundtrack is pretty good. I love
yeah,
it as soon as that This Kiss kicks
Mhm.
on, I'm like, "Yes, that's the one."
The placement of this kiss in this movie is just impeccable.
it's perfect placement. Every single thing fit the tone for the movie. It wasn't for the sake of it just being there.
Mhm.
It actually had a reason, and it actually described the characters, because you get some soundtracks that are like, this does not match what the theme of this movie is.
Mhm.
This one, it feels like Practical Magic, and even the magic between the first love interest between Sandra Bullock's character and the man she falls in love with feels very magical within the soundtrack
Mhm.
itself.
I noticed also that they have, just at random times, in the background, you can faintly hear birds and crickets. Um, I at one point had to pause it because I'm like, "Is there a cricket in this bedroom?" And it's not. It was on. I'd never noticed it before, but it's in the movie. There's just like crickets and birds just kind of throughout
Mhm.
the whole movie, just kind of faintly in the background.
It's
That's
like a little
interesting.
relaxation type of thing, right?
Yeah.
Where you can just basically just meditate a little bit while watching this movie, you know? You can smoke something, maybe relax and calm your nerves, right?
Yeah.
I
It's
didn't
like
catch that. I didn't catch that. That's interesting.
yeah, it was everywhere because at first I was just like, "Why are there birds still outside?" Like, something's wrong. There's birds outside, it's dark, and it's snowing. Then I'm like, "Wait a minute, no." And then I'm like, "Oh, the crickets are here." Because 'cause I'm like, "Where's the cricket in the bedroom?" We had to once stop recording for the night because there was a cricket, and it was so loud in my office, and I couldn't find it.
That
Oh
was the
wow.
worst. Yeah.
Well, guess what? So now that we stripped away the nostalgia, well, not the yeah, the nostalgia of it, we're gonna go on ahead and talk about this scene by scene through a modern day eye. So let's go on ahead. Let's start doing that now. So we're here to celebrate the Owens women, Sandra Bullock, Nicole Kidman, in the movie that made us believe in love potions and the power of sisterhood. So light your candles, circle your salt, and remember, there's a little witch in all of us. Welcome to Practical Magic, where every episode is a little spell binding. So it opens up to a young witch named Maria Owens. Is exiled to Maria's Island in Massachusetts with her unborn child for escaping her execution. When her lover does not come to rescue her, she desperately casts a spell upon herself to stop falling in love due to heartbreak and only to die soon after. So you actually have a little bit of the backstory of it kind of reminds me of the Sanderson sisters, right? From Hocus Pocus, where
Mhm.
you had
Mhm.
other people wanting to hang someone for being a witch. And I like the fact that we're actually in that time first, and then we go into modern day time in 98
Yeah.
of seeing these two little girls growing up. But I like how they said, well, even the magic that this woman has, she doesn't even know how to describe it herself. She doesn't realize how she does it. She just does it because it's
Mhm.
within her bloodline. And I like how she gets herself off the rope and she starts running away from the crowd. So that was I really like the opening scene. What about for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, so that was actually one of the things that I really gained a new appreciation for rewatching it. I realized on this rewatch how great the script is, the screenwriting on this movie, because that first initial scene, they have so much to set up. And I think any other movie would have just given us a cut scene of the great great ancestor Maria escaping, through magic, escaping her execution. But that's not the character we need to get to know. We need to get to know the aunts. We need to get to know the little girls. And so they told us that story through the voices of the aunts and the little girls, and they put it in the context of why the little girls are coming to live with the aunts. So
Right.
I really was like, whoa, this is really great storytelling right here. Because in 5 minutes, they set everything up and they did it in a really great way.
I definitely agree with you on that, Rose, because here's the thing. We have to be solely invested into these characters. In order for us to be invested in them, we have to care about them. And the way they do it is we don't get to see their faces, but we get to hear their voices and explain the lineage of their background and why they are the way they are. So without that context, without that, you just have a basic witch movie that just cuts into this other family without us having any continuity within the film itself. So
Exactly.
that's
Yeah.
something I do appreciate with the film.
I think the story of Maria is also super compelling and visceral. Like, I really like it. Like, I feel so bad for Maria. And, like, she's in the movie for, like, a total of what, like, a minute and 30 seconds?
Yeah.
But it's just, like, you feel connected to that character from the very beginning, and then by feeling so connected to her, you feel connected to, like, her descendants because it's I don't know. Again, I'm gonna tell you, I have no complaints about this movie. There's everything is 10 out of 10, no notes. Um, but I did there was a part that I never really, like, paid attention to before. I don't like, I knew what happened, but I just never, like, paid that much attention to it before, and it's after she jumps from the gallows and
Mhm.
her noose breaks, she stands there for a second, and she stares at everybody, and she's surprised, they're surprised, everybody's surprised, and, like, she just did something, like, out of the ordinary, something obviously paranormal, and she could have killed them all, and instead, she just left. Like, I don't know, like, that moment where she jumps from the gallows and her feet hit, and then
Mhm.
she stares, and then she looks up. It's something, like, I knew it happened, but it's something I never paid attention for, and I think that that, like, split little moment of everybody being on the same page there
Mhm.
is, like, super compelling to me.
I agree because this is what I thought of though at this scene though too, Courtney, was it's like, okay, you guys get to be stupid over here for judging me for who I am. But I'm gonna embrace my freedom as a person, as a woman, and I'm gonna walk away from y'all. And you guys can go on ahead and bitch and moan about everything that I am. And screw y'all. I don't need to be in this town. This town is poisonous to me. And I can embrace a new life without you. And she showed mercy
Yeah.
upon them and let them be stupid and let her move on. That's what I
Yeah,
got from
no, that's exactly what that was.
They were so shocked as though they weren't really because they were hanging her for being a witch. And then
it.
when she did witchy shit, everyone gasped. like
Oh,
like
shit, we
plot
were
twist.
right.
Yeah, like
Right.
plot twist. She actually is a witch.
This watch through also made me realize that witchcraft and, like, being a witch, was probably demonized so greatly because it was the first field dominated by women,
Right.
um, and men were like, "Absolutely not."
You know what? There is actually a fan theory here too that I
Okay.
want to get to as well. Because I think it's actually fascinating on some of these fan theories I do find. Like I found one on Santa Claus where Santa Claus is basically a Time Lord from the Tim Allen movie. So,
Hmm.
you know, so there's that. Let me see if I can find that in my notes that I have. Okay,
I
here it is. So basically, there's the Ants orchestrated Sally and Gary's meeting. Fans speculated that Aunt Jet and Aunt Frances had a hand in bringing Sally and Gary together. They subtly push events forward, knowing Gary fits the qualities of Sally's childhood. Perfect man spell. This theory suggests they knew it was time for the family curse to be challenged or broken. There's also the curse can be broken through true love. The Owens family curse claims that any man who falls in love with the Owens woman will die. However, some fans theorize that the curse is only activated if the love is untrue or rooted in selfish intentions. The ending of the film suggests that Sally and Gary's love might break the curse because it's genuine and pure, contrasting with past relationships seen in the film. So those are just a few fan theories that I found.
It's a little depressing though to think
It
that
Yeah.
is.
her the love that she first found wasn't real or maybe
It,
wasn't
Yeah.
mutual.
right. And we'll get into that too, because I also had thought that myself going into it with the first love that Sandra Bullock's character falls in love with. But yeah, we'll get into that a little
I'm
bit
gonna throw
later.
out a new fan theory that I just thought of. What if the curse could only be broken if a descendant from Maria's original love reconnects with one of the Owens women?
I like that.
Mm.
That
So,
is
like, what if they, like, came full circle with where the curse started?
Well, but Maria's love, right? The ancestor who did this whole curse, he must have been a piece of crap because he abandoned his pregnant girlfriend to an island and never came to visit her.
Or they
So,
killed him.
mm.
mm, I don't know.
Courtney
Like,
wishes.
listen, do you if being a witch could get you hung, do you also think that get you hanged? Do you also think that maybe diddling a witch could also get you hanged?
Okay, now you made my wheels turning a little bit. Because here's the thing, because if you killed a
Oh.
man in those times, you would actually be considered maybe doing something unheard of to the point where they might think that you're a witch for even killing another man versus
Mm.
versus it just being because they'll think that's abnormal for someone to do that, especially a woman.
Well, on the Salem witch trials, there were, what, 3 men that
Yeah.
died?
Yeah.
So, I don't
It's not
know.
it's not impossible, and it's an
True.
interesting theory because it would also put a different lens on the whole thing because it's like, oh, he didn't abandon her. He was just dead. That's always an
Let me
option,
be
girls.
delusional.
Maybe he didn't ghost you. Maybe he just died.
That's the only acceptable option. He didn't ghost you. He just died.
Right. Exactly. Of natural causes.
Of unnatural causes.
But the spell becomes a curse for several generations. Jillian and Sally Owens, two descendants of the Owen family, are taken in by their aunts, Frances and Jet. After the death of their family, Sally is the more gifted of the two, while Jillian's talents are more in charm and persuasion and had many subjects to ridicule during their youth. After witnessing their aunts cast a spell on a man for a woman who seems obsessed with having his love, Jillian decides to fall in love, and Sally casts a true love spell to protect herself. The sisters cast an oath to each other, using blood from both of their hands, and Jillian leaves for Los Angeles. Sally meets and marries Michael, a local Apple salesman. And I don't know, and I do not mean the Apple store.
Right. Actual apples, people.
Right.
The ones that salesman.
The ones that grow outside where grass lives.
Right.
Rose and I will take this opportunity to correct our last statement regarding what Michael sells. And while I still believe that apples could be considered phallic shaped vegetables or fruit, they are not what we once thought they were. We were wrong the first time.
We were absolutely joking. Because we recapped this movie on our podcast and we had a clip where we joked that he was pushing a cart full of phallic shaped vegetables. That was the bit. I thought it was funny to say that. And honestly, I couldn't remember they were apples. I just knew they were some sort of fruit or vegetables. And people got mad.
People were like, no, you stupid dumb bitch. Those are apples.
How dare you mess our childhood up thinking of inappropriate stuff. But yeah. But I just thought that, just having the sisters witness, their aunts doing this, and then also the townspeople not being too friendly to them either.
Yeah.
And then treating them as outsiders, just like how generations before them were also treating their family like outsiders. And I just like the fact that, something happens to their parents. They have to move in with their aunt. It's a sad situation, but the aunts are making the best out of it and trying to be there for them. I just love it. I just love the care and how gentle they are. And I forgot the actress that plays one of the characters, but she played on Edward Scissorhands. She just has that. And also, too, she also played on The Lost Boys. But I just love the gentleness of her and the nurturing of her, even with the other sister, too. I really love them both together. I really love them.
The aunts were great. They were so honest too to these young girls, which a lot of adults try to shield kids when bad things are happening, but kids are aware that bad things are happening. And the best thing you can do is unpack it with them. And the aunts are like, yes, girls, your dad died because of a curse. Like they were just straight up. They're just telling these 8-year-old girls, like, yeah, there's a curse and that's how your dad died. What can we tell you?
I mean, honestly, I wish more children could be told that their parents died from a curse rather than something so mundane as a car accident.
Right.
Cancer.
It was Voldemort. You are the chosen one.
Yeah. At least give them a little bit of pizzazz with their grief.
I agree.
Also, I want to be the aunts when I grow up. It's my goal in life. Is just collectively, I don't care which one, I want to be the aunts when I grow up.
That scene where the aunts are helping a townswoman do a love spell to get a man to be obsessed with them. Once again, I just marveled kind of at the script of this movie, the storytelling and the screenplay, because I'm like, wow, this scene did so much. Not only did it show us that the aunts are, they're actually practicing magic and the townspeople are aware that they're witches because they're coming to them for help.
Right.
But also it established right off the bat the personality of the two girls.
It did. It really did, because you had the establishment of the fact that the sisters bonding together, breaking and having an oath together is like, hey, look, we're gonna die together, and we're gonna that's how we're gonna go out. We're gonna go out together. We're not gonna die separately. And and I liked how you have where you have Sandra Bullock's character where she winds up, you know, which is Sally, where she winds up taking a spell to actually make up a person that she's gonna fall in love with to protect her, be the protector of her life. And you
Yeah.
have the sister, yeah, go on.
Oh, go ahead.
And then you also have her sister, who's also trying to be the protector for Sally right now, and as a little girl as well. So you have two things happening at the same time, where you are actually looking for someone to protect her, while she's also has somebody to protect her right now in childhood. So I like that whole entire future and present are going to come in later on, and I love it.
Yeah, you have Jillian, who's just kind of like tra la 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 good times. Like Jillian's a go with the flow person, and she's been like that since she was a child. Then you have Sally, who found out about, she knew about the curse, and then she saw what love does to some woman when that woman came to her aunts for the love spell. And she immediately pieced herself out of that with her love spell that she cast on herself, which I think was actually a really ingenious idea for a
Mhm.
child.
Yeah,
Like,
not
she's like,
leaving
"Oh."
anything not leaving anything to chance.
Yeah, she was like, "Oh, so if I fall in love, let's see, I could be this woman banging on a witch's door at 2 o'clock in the morning, and then also, the love of my life is gonna die because my family's cursed. Let's go ahead and take all the guesswork out of this and cast a love spell for a man who will never exist, and then it'll never be love, it'll just be infatuation, it'll be
Right.
limerence."
Be like a temporary thing to where she doesn't have to worry about having any type of connectivity with this person for a long period of time. It's
Yeah.
basically just putting a wall up. It's like, hey, look, if this is what love is, I don't want to be near it. I don't want to be even think of the word love. I want to be, and especially with Jillian, she goes, I want to be free spirit. I want to be my own person, my own individual, without having to look at what love is, and especially with this woman's coming in at 1 o'clock in the morning, probably
Yeah.
in tears because my aunt won't help her to actually resurrect her dead husband or boyfriend. And so, if this is what it is, and it's just temporary, anyways, I might as well just go ahead and make my own version of what love is and let it be temporary for me because that's what works for me.
Yeah, which is genius for a child to be like, "Oh, okay. I see you, magic, and I raise you intelligence." Absolutely not. Um,
Of course, her idea of you know, a man who doesn't exist is kind of childlike, right?
Right.
yeah.
The concepts of like there couldn't possibly be someone with a green eye and a blue eye, right? She couldn't fathom that. She couldn't fathom that someone could ride a horse backward.
Or have a star as well. Because at first I'm like, when she's making this person up, I remember as a kid, I'm like, what the hell is she talking about? A star? How is that going to even help you? And it didn't put it together until like towards the end where we have that plot twist at the end of, oh, this is the person that she made up. This is the star is actually resembles a sheriff's star. So it makes sense, but in the eyes and lenses of a child who's innocent, it may not make sense to them, but at the same time, their imagination also makes it make sense to them. If that makes
Yeah, everything makes sense to a child.
Yeah.
sense.
And then Jilly just being so enamored by the toxicity of love, such a red flag and would,
Mhm.
definitely come into play later. Just the way her eyes lit up, seeing this very dark scene of like a bird getting killed for this weird love spell. And she goes, I can't wait to fall in love. That was everything you needed to know about her right there.
Exactly.
Well, and, like, as, like, when Jillian leaves and goes away to LA, and then, like, the aunts are worried about Sally, like, we knew that the aunts did something mischievous before Sally did,
Hmm.
because she was in the garden, and they're like, "What time is it? What time is it?" And then sh like, the bells start chiming, and they're like, "Oh, where are you going, dear?" Um
Hmm.
Like, this kiss starts playing, obviously, like, the music is telling us something's about to happen, but the aunt's behavior is also telling us that
Mhm.
they're in on a secret.
Right.
I
They're in on this secret of helping their niece be able to find love, even though it's temporary.
Just
And
happiness.
it
right, it's happiness, and that's all
seems like
they want for her.
it seems like they broke some rule, some moral code there doing a spell like that, because you could see how it completely took over Sally and how she almost didn't have control over her own body. And thankfully, it was with someone that she had a genuine attraction to because she did a double take when she first saw the guy in town. But doesn't it feel a little bit like a violation that the aunts did this?
Oh, for sure.
Well, I also feel like this though too is like they made eye contact. You can tell that there's something there. So therefore, eventually they might have met without having let the interference of the ants doing what they did. And they could have worked out on its own versus it doing it this way. But yeah, it does in a way feel like they put themselves out there and said, okay, well, instead of letting it be, let's be patient with it. It's like, okay, let's just hurry up and
Mhm.
let's get this thing started. I want happiness for my niece,
Can you
and they have
imagine
2 years of marriage together.
Can you imagine that guy was married with 2 kids and he just, like, ghosted his wife and just went to hook up with Sandra Bullock?
She's at home like, "Motherfucker better be
Right?
dead."
You're going on with that
Oh, y
witch woman, huh? But I could just see this though. Like, sorry guys, I gotta go. Where are you going? I don't know. I just gotta go.
yeah.
I gotta go to this garden. I got to wave to this. I have to go out to the middle of the city. I don't know why. I just gotta go. Dad, what about pizza night? It's okay, kids. Here's $5. I have to go.
Is that what happens with dads when they go out to get milk and never come back?
They just find a new wife.
Oh, someone put a spell on them. It's not their fault.
Right, exactly. It's not their fault.
Gross.
Sandra Bullock collecting dads like Infinity Stones.
It's like, which
Rose
dad
is
do
his
I need? Right.
Mhm.
But I do
It
like the setup though.
I it's one, I don't think Sally ever would have taken that jump,
Mm.
ever. I think I think she might have started to feel something for him, and then she would have been like, "Oh, he's gonna die." Click. And she would have been like, "No, absolutely not." So I think that without the aunt's interference, Sally never would have made that leap.
True.
Yeah,
That's
I
very
agree.
true. And I think that their marriage would have actually lasted longer if they didn't meddle because of that
I think so.
beetle. Because think of it like this: they meddled into this whole entire conception of the fact that they want something for their niece, right? That she wanted to be
Mhm.
happy. But what if, I'm just saying this, what if for the fact that they did meet out on their own terms? What happens if that was actually the way of not of breaking the curse?
Oh, no, that's
And
such a
what
good
if,
point.
right? And because here's the thing, the beetle was making the noise because of the consequences with what the ants were doing. So what I'm thinking is if you get rid of that whole entire aspect, you have them falling in love on their own terms. You have them breaking in the curse, but because of this interference, that's what caused the curse to happen.
Yeah. I
Well, maybe, but we don't know how Sally's parents met. So we don't know if the ants interfered there either. But then that would also mean that Gary is doomed too.
well, according to that fan theory, but
Right.
Mhm.
we'll get to Gary.
Right. We'll get to him soon. But the other thing that makes me wonder is like, okay, well, how long did Sally's and Jillian's parents last? Was it 2 years as well for them as well, or was it more? So it makes you wonder about that aspect as well.
Hmm.
But after so now we're getting into after witnessing their aunt's cast a spell. Okay, so years later, the two open their centennial shop and have 2 young daughters, Kylie and Atonia. Michael is killed after being hit by a truck. Sally and her daughters return to the Owens home to live with the aunts and realize that the aunts cast a spell so she could fall in love. Sally decides that she and her daughters will not perform magic as Jillian begins a relationship with Jimmy Douchebag in Orlando. Sally is devastated by her husband's death. Jillian feels that Sally needs her and drugs Jimmy to return to Massachusetts.
Yeah,
So we have a lot of setup there.
yeah. It was done so well. Again, it was so organic the way they gave us all this exposition because Sally
Mhm.
and Jilly are long distance, so they're writing letters to each other. And I love that idea because it's an organic way to communicate exposition. You're writing a letter to your
Mhm.
sister in the 90s, you know?
Yeah, especially 1998, you
Yeah.
know?
Right.
I I don't understand why Jillian didn't come back for a funeral. I would be devastated if my sister
Yeah.
didn't return for my husband's funeral.
I wonder if she did and that was cut out.
That might
It doesn't
be.
sound like it.
Actually, you're right. I don't think she did because she was nervous to see the daughters when she came back later. So she
That's
Yeah.
hadn't
true.
seen them.
And she didn't know it. All she knew was her sister lost her husband, and that was it. And she has to be there for her sister.
Right, but
So
it
Yeah.
seems I just wonder yeah, it gives me so many questions because it almost seemed like Jilly didn't find out until much later.
that's what I'm thinking,
Like,
Like
especially with them
Jillian was
mailing back and forth.
semi-estranged.
mhm.
I don't know, Jilly got digmatized.
Big time.
Yeah. And I like how the answer over there talking about how Jillian just goes through one guy after another. That's also another thing that we see when Sally winds up being into the guy that uh, he falls in love with is the fact of I wish that my sister would just settle down and just stop
Mhm.
going through different guys, you know. But then she winds up meeting Jimmy Angelov, and you can definitely tell that this guy's off
Mhm.
just by the way he looks. He has that, and you know what? You
The
know
crazy
how
eyes.
not only the crazy eyes though, Rose, but think of it like this: the guy's sitting in a shadowy thing. He's full of darkness, while Jillian is full of light in a sense. Even though she's very free
Mhm.
spirited, you have this darkness within her with meets light. Light meets dark,
Yeah.
and within that, she gets lost in it, and especially how his eyes glow in the shadows as
Mhm.
well. He has that glare of like, okay, this guy's an asshole. He's gonna do something that she's gonna regret later.
Yeah. Just the intensity, I think,
Mhm.
is a big red flag, and a lot of young women don't know this because it's like the love bombing, where it's like, "Oh
Mhm.
my god, he's so intense, he's so obsessed with me, he wants to follow me into the bathroom, he doesn't wanna be apart for 2 seconds." It's like, "No, babe, those are red flags, actually."
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and I think that a lot of especially, like, girls who are younger, um, it's obvious that Jimmy's probably I don't wanna say quite a bit older, but I feel like there's definitely somewhat of an age gap there.
Mhm,
He's probably at least, what, like, 5 to 8 years older than Jillian,
Mhm.
and it's you don't realize it is that the love bombing is so toxic, and by the time you realize that it's toxic, you're already in it, like, you are
mhm.
so deep in it that you can't leave, like, you can't just be like, "I think we should break up, babe." Like, "I think I'm gonna go my way, you go your way."
Yeah.
And I think that they take that obsession as, like, "Look how obsessed we are with each other." Oh my god, it's, like, so I think Jillian even uses the word intense when she's
Yeah,
Yeah, she
describing him to
does.
Sally. She's like, "He's so intense."
yeah.
And it's, like, controlling?
You're in danger. You're
Right.
actually in danger.
"You're in danger, babe."
And it had to be her sister that Sally has to be the one who has to tell her, "Hey, look, you're in danger here. You're
Mhm.
being with a narcissistic asshole, and you're not seeing the red flags." You know?
Yeah, Jilly says, "Some nights we're awake all night worshiping each other."
Like
She's like and
bats.
then she talks about how she has to give him belladonna, which don't do that at home, kids. That is dangerous. Um, she has to give him belladonna so she can get some shut-eye, and I'm like, "What?" And then she's like, "He's just so much stronger than me." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"What?
What?
What? Babe, that's
Exactly.
assault."
Like, if
That's
you have to
assault.
drug the guy that you're with, that's not a good sign that you need to go on ahead and be with this person at all, because this person's not good for you.
I
Judy
actually
has a really
sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, I was actually wondering if maybe that's why sh Jilly didn't come back for the funeral. Maybe she couldn't. Maybe he wouldn't let her
Ooh.
go.
Yeah, I know, that's probably right. Maybe she couldn't. Jilly has a really insecure attachment style.
Mhm.
It's like you think it's a personality trait, but it's actually trauma, babes.
Yeah.
But, the thing that I thought that was really creepy was I never would have thought that I would actually find an Elvis song really creepy and eerie than that the whole entire ride.
Yeah.
That was just really creepy, and we're going to get into that now, where Jillian returns to Sally and Jimmy becomes abusive, but the sisters are kidnapped. Sally puts Belladonna into Jimmy's tequila and killing him. The sisters resurrect him using the forbidden spell from their aunt's book of spells, but Jimmy's attempt to kill Jillian after being revived. Sally kills him again, and the sisters bury his remains in their garden.
Mhm.
And so this part where they're thinking they're home free, and then here's Jimmy in the back of the car, and he tells Sally to drive.
Mhm.
And you have Always on My Mind playing
Mhm.
and in the background. This scene is so creepy and so eerie that it just feels like the Elvis song just kind of slows down, like a
Yeah.
demonic kind of song now. It does not even feel like a happy song. It now feels like it's now basically, what's the word I'm thinking of? It's basically just demonic because of this guy.
Heebie-jeebies.
Yeah. No, it is really eerie, and I guess I guess context is important, right? Like if you have a really creepy guy singing about how you
Mhm.
are always on his mind, doesn't hit the same, right?
No,
Yeah.
no.
Well,
Not good
also,
intentions.
I've noticed that when you hear music in a tone or a key that it's not meant to be in, it doesn't vibe right. I
Yeah.
heard "Kiss the Girl" from Little Mermaid in C minor. It's the creepiest, rapiest song I've ever heard in my life.
That's such
Like,
a good point.
in
Yeah.
Little Mermaid, it's a bop, it's a
Right.
vibe. When you change it to C minor, it's
Changes the
creepy as hell.
atmosphere.
Yeah.
Yeah, it changes the vibe.
Mhm.
So, while Elvis sings it beautifully,
Yeah.
Jimmy Angelo singing it while he's taking a piss in an industrial yard
Mhm.
after he kidnapped you, definitely not vibing the way I would really like to be vibing at the moment. Thanks.
Yeah.
But what did you think of
But
the whole Oh, go on ahead, Rose. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that was me.
Okay. Sorry about that. But no, what I was gonna ask you guys was this, okay? So what did you think of the whole fact of, okay, she drugged him, now they're going over to their aunt's house again.
I
And yeah,
I think that Sally and everybody made the right decision as far as taking him back and reviving him. I think they should have called the cops after she beat him over the head with the cast iron skillet.
me too.
I'm sorry. You think they made the right decision by transporting a dead body across state lines with the intention of performing a spell they didn't know was
Mhm.
gonna work? Do you think that was the right choice?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, I think they should have called 911. Honestly, I honestly think they could have just left him on the side of the
Well,
road.
they don't have well, no, he took the keys.
Yeah, he took the keys.
Okay.
And there's no cell phones or anything either at this in this time either. So it's
Yeah.
not like you can say, "Hey, look, I have a douchebag that tried to kill my sister in the back
Yeah.
seat, and we had to actually drug him to lay his hands off of her." So therefore, what do you do? And you're also
Yeah.
panicking at this time. You're not in the best mindset either. So it's like, well, we're witches. What do we do? Well, let's do what we know best.
When you have magic and a
Yeah.
resurrection spell is
Right.
on the
And this will get
table,
us off the hook
maybe
because he'll be
try it.
revived.
Yeah. I guess if I had magic, I would find a way to plant evidence to point to
Mm.
someone else, like let's frame someone for the homicide. How about that?
Find another scumbag and frame a different scumbag for
Yeah.
this scumbag's murder. You know what?
Yes.
You're right.
Right.
I love that. 2 birds, 1 murder.
But 2 birds, 1 murder. But I understand that in the moment, they were panicked, they didn't know what to do, and then Jilly had the idea of like, let's bring him back. He's evil anyway. How much worse can it get?
Exactly.
Yeah. That's what she said. Sally was like, "No, the aunt said he'll come back as something dark and unnatural." And Jilly's like, "Jimmy's already dark and unnatural."
Right, exactly. What more can we not do to this guy that's even more dark than what he is right now? So
Mhm.
But
I get that.
I think once he was in the house and he tried to strangle her, I think that after she beat him over the head with the pan, they should have called the police and been like, "Hey, listen, he kidnapped us. He made us drive here. And then he started strangling Jilly. And then I hit him in the head with the pan." And I think once that other cop got involved, because he knew he would have, because Jimmy was on the radar, they would have been like, "Yeah, that checks out. That's what Jimmy does."
Right. And
Okay.
also too, what I want to know is what family member hired up a PI to look for this guy
Mm.
as well. It's not like this asshole's like he has any kind of loving family that's going to be looking for Jimmy or anything.
He was investigating other murders, I think.
He was a
Okay.
prosecutor.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I was just thinking to myself, I'm like, because I was just thinking to myself, like, why would anyone care about him? But
Yeah.
Also, that was
at the same
quick.
time,
That was quick.
Right.
mhm. But she hit him over the head like 3 times with the frying pan just to let him go, and then they wind up burying him outside,
Mhm.
and then at this point they're like, okay, we're good to go. We don't have anything else to worry about. We buried him, and that's the end.
3 is a magical number. She couldn't have done it any more, any less, It's
Just the idea that they could have called the cops at that moment and been like, "Oh yeah, ignore the freaking pentagram, carved into his chest and ignore his previous cause of death."
well,
You
his
know?
previous
Right.
cause of death was, a belladonna overdose, so, like, that might be out of his system by now. It might have,
Well,
like
also too, like with that, like, well, maybe they didn't give him the proper dosage to have an OD because of his body weight and size. So therefore, he woke up out of his coma sleep,
Oh my gosh,
and
you
that's
think
what
he
happened.
wasn't dead? You think he wasn't dead to begin with?
That might be a good alibi. Is like,
Oh.
okay,
Mm,
that's what I was thinking. Was like maybe they didn't give him enough for his body
mhm.
size and stuff. So what happens is he comes out of his coma from the drug, and then he winds up strangling Jillian for the fact that she poisoned him.
Yeah.
So
No,
that's
see,
what I.
listen, look at us, alibi queens.
They were with us. They didn't do it. Innocent.
That was a belladonna, that was melatonin, and he asked for
Yeah.
some.
He said, "Please put the whole jar in my bottle of liquor. Thank you."
Right,
Yeah,
that's
I
it.
mean,
He wanted to go to take a nap.
and then I don't even want him to do any of this witchcraft stuff. This
made
weirdo
us.
over here with the skull ring, he asked me
Yeah.
to carve that pentagram on his chest. I didn't want to.
Well, then he grabbed that frying pan and hit himself upside the head multiple
He's
times.
so
It
much
was
bigger than
weird.
I am.
Officer, it was weird. Look at us.
I'm just a girl.
We're just girls. You think we
We're
did
just
this?
girls.
You think we did a double murder on one person?
Yeah.
Yes, I buy it.
Not after this episode. They're gonna be like,
No.
those bitches did it.
But they bury him in the Holmes garden. Then after that, we have state investigator Gary Hollett arrives from Tucson, Arizona, in search of Jimmy, who is also a serial killer.
Yeah.
As Gary begins to suspect Sally, Jillian, Kylie, and Tonya create a potion to banish Gary. However, the girls realize that he is the one described in Sally's true love spell and removes the potion. So I love this scene where they realize, oh shit, this is actually the guy that my mom's supposed to fall in love with.
Mhm.
And because of the innocence of the child and because they believe in that, they go on ahead. And I like how, you have the breakfast scene where he's flipping the pancakes, spending time with the kids, and the kids are loving him. But I also like how he's also investigating the town as well with the
Mhm.
placentas and stuff. And
Yeah.
oh yeah, they jump off their house on Halloween and stuff like that. There really are crazy people, and yeah, that was that made me laugh though about how much that he didn't believe them, but also too of all the crazy stories he's hearing around the town.
Yeah, those townspeople are like, "Oh, no," like, she's not saying that Sally and Jillian killed him. They're just saying that maybe they shook his hand and then he died later and he's in a
Mhm.
ditch. That's
Yeah. The the interview montage was really fun. It was really fun because the townspeople were so excited that somebody was finally investigating these witches, you know? Like someone's finally getting to the bottom of it.
And it's like,
magic is not against the law currently.
Mm,
right, but you
that's
know what
true.
else though? Is like he's an outsider, so somebody's finally that's an outsider that doesn't live in this town, so therefore now they can be put to jail.
Mhm.
So we have that too going on in their heads as well. And then even whenever Jillian and Sally are up inside the little town meeting thing that Sally wants to be a part of too, I like how they're talking shit about Jillian. Oh, she's got a snake on her tattoo on her arm and stuff and things like that too. So you have the townspeople talking shit about her, but Sally's also still trying to fit into a society that does not even want her and rejecting
Right.
her.
She's trying to suppress her witchiness. Do you know, I on this rewatch, I for the first time I felt like there was a scene missing because um right okay, so before Officer Hallett comes to interview Sally at the house,
Mhm.
Sally has been so nervous, just so like flustered and stuff. But then that particular morning, she seems so confident and so comfortable. And she's actually very charming. Like you could see him falling in love with her in real time. And I felt like there was a scene missing. Like what happened to make her go from being terrified about getting caught to suddenly being like, you know what? Ask whatever you want. Did we kill him? Yeah, a couple times.
Yeah.
And that made me
You know?
laugh.
Twice.
Yeah, twice. Do we know where his body is? It's not in this house, you know?
It's outside this
Be
house.
more specific, okay?
Right. Look
I
at the
no,
roses. Right.
I get what you mean about how she was kind of a flustered mess and then she just went all zen, and it honestly feels like big sister mode took over.
Mm,
And she was like, "I need to keep me and Jilly out of jail." And she knows he's been talking to everybody in the town, and she's like, "I have to lean into it now."
mhm.
'Cause she intimidates the hell out of Officer Howlett.
Yeah,
She intimidates him, and he's into it.
you're right. Maybe she realizes for the first time that her reputation is a tool, an intimidation tool,
Mm.
because Jilly uses her sexuality as an intimidation tool, and we have to talk about Nicole Kidman just oozing horniness, like, in every role
Oof.
she's ever had, because my god, this woman's just, like,
She walks into that
coming out of her
PTA
pores.
meeting and says, "Hide your husbands." Husbands, hide your wives too,
I hid
okay?
my
Like,
Right.
husband. I hid my husband. He wasn't even in the movie. I was like, "I
yeah.
need to put you in a closet for right now."
She's like, "Babe,
But
walk away. This movie's not
you
for
know
you."
what though? This is what I was thinking, okay? I was thinking because of the fact it was that love spell that she had from when she was a little girl,
Mhm.
where she feels comfortable with him to open up to him. And her guard is down
Yeah.
because of it. So that's what I was thinking. I was thinking of the fact of there's that connection there, even though she doesn't know that there's a connection there or anything because she doesn't see it yet. So I was thinking because of that, I was thinking, well, of course her walls would be broken and stuff like that is because of the fact she feels comfortable enough to actually tell him what's going on, even though she also has to step up and be a big sister to Jillian and stuff like that and say, hey, look, this is what happened. And he's even telling her, look, do not tell me anything because you need a lawyer.
Yeah.
You need a lawyer
Well,
up.
see, Sally told Jilly the very first time he came to the house to talk to them, she's like, "I don't think I can lie to him." And Jilly was like, yes, you can. Of course you can." And then when he asked about the car, and Jillian's like, "Oh, that's my car." And Sally she folds like a wet paper bag immediately. And she's like,
Mhm.
"Okay, yeah, no, we stole his car.
Mhm.
Um, so sorry. We would love to give it back to him. If you can find him, please
Mhm.
take it." But I think you're right about the connection to where she feels that pull to him and she's like, "I maybe he won't arrest me. Like maybe it'll be okay."
Right. What do you think, though, Rose?
I think a prosecutor who, first of all, why is the prosecutor investigating the crime? He's the prosecutor, right? That's what he said?
He said he's with the prosecutor's
Yeah.
office.
Oh, okay, okay. So he's investigating. But I've never heard an investigator ever say, "Stop talking to me, get an attorney." Like I've never heard that before. So it's obvious that like he didn't want them to get in trouble for this, you know?
Mhm.
Right.
But I'm also curious why he jumped to the conclusion that they killed him, because the most natural conclusion would be they're hiding him. This is his girlfriend. He's on the run. He's wanted for murder. Where is he hiding? But that's not where his mind goes. His mind goes, where's his body? You killed him, right?
Well, see,
Right.
he took before the car was towed from their house, he took a sample of stuff that was spilled on the front seat and sent it off to be tested, and that stuff was belladonna that Sally spilled. And
You're
then
right.
he probably looked into what belladonna was used for, and that's why he was like, "Oh, belladonna is used also to poison people." So I think he might be like, "I'm gonna go out. Belladonna is a sedative used to poison people. They have a shit ton of it here in this house. Maybe,
Mhm.
maybe."
Well, also, too, you have Jillian, who also has a black eye still from her ex. So maybe he's putting two and two together with that, though, too. But I was also, why would she hide someone that she got where the boyfriend winds up abusing her?
Right. Yeah.
So that's also another thing.
I think a lot if it was just Jilly, I would think he would probably be more concerned that she was hiding him because that is sort of like, something that was more likely to happen, like he hits her, he apologizes, she has that attachment to him and, he has been love bombing her since the beginning. She's probably like, This is the first time he's hit me, he won't do it again. He said he's sorry, he loves me, I can hide him." So if it was just Jilly, I don't think he would have thought he was dead. I think he would
Right.
have went straight to, "Where is your boyfriend? I know you're hiding him."
True. But since it's the sister and Jillian, yeah, since it's
Mhm.
Sally and Jillian, yeah, that's a different turn of events. I definitely agree with you on that.
I'm just saying if my sister came to me with a black eye and some guy hit her, I don't know where he is either.
Same. I probably actually hit the guy over the head with the shovel, and he fell and landed in a ditch somewhere in the garden.
He
That
threw
was
himself in front of my Hyundai Sonata, okay?
It was the weirdest thing, Your Honor.
He
I
stabbed
was just
himself four
trying
times
to
in the back, and he ended up falling into the garden.
listen, I was just trying to leave with my sister, and he threw himself behind my vehicle when I was backing up.
Oh,
I
I have a question.
Mhm.
So obviously, when Jilly and Sally bury, what's his last name? I almost said
Angela.
Lovegood. I almost said Lovegood. That's Harry Potter. Um, when they bury him, he starts to haunt them, right? Like this
Mhm.
Right.
rose bush, this very thorny rose bush starts growing overnight. One of the little girls can see him. He's haunting them. And I'm curious, um, do we think that this is happening because of the second spell that they did that brought him back to life and that made him
Mhm.
evil? Or do we think he was evil to begin with? What if if we're in a world, like right now, we're in a universe where magic is real. So wouldn't it stand to reason that demons are real? Like, what if he was actually a demon?
That actually
Oof.
does kind of make sense because, like I said,
That
he
does
was
make
like in that,
sense.
yeah, because he was in that shadowy place. You know what I'm talking about at the start of it. Yeah, it does
The
kind
way
of
Mhm.
they
make sense.
portrayed him, the way they portrayed him was very supernatural before he died, even.
Right. I do see that, and especially with him being obsessed with vampires and stuff like that, and into that whole entire deal as well. you know. Let's see here. We do have something. Michael says, "Hi, unfortunately, on October 16th, 1998, I went to see Bride of Chucky rather than Practical Magic." I've also seen Bride of Chucky instead of Practical
Mm.
Magic myself, sadly.
So listen, I saw the first Child's Play movie that I ever saw. I saw when I was 4. Um, and it still haunts me. I've seen 1, 2, 3, and The Bride of Chucky. And I still like I know I could punt that little plastic bastard if I really needed to. Like, he's a doll, put him in the oven, he's gone.
Yeah.
Um, but still, I any doll with red hair, not in this house.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We forgive you for choosing Bride of Chucky over Practical Magic. There is still time
Same.
to atone for your sins.
Exactly. Go on ahead and rent this on YouTube for $4. So there you go.
Or
I
you
think
can
it
buy it
Or you
for
can buy it.
8.
I think it's cheaper on Amazon Prime, actually. It was
Really?
like 3 something, yeah. Actually,
Okay.
279 or something like that, so
Not bad. But yeah, then we actually have later Sally and Gary record their testimony and sees the letters she had once written to Jillian and realizes he must have read it more times than he had and let on, unable to deny
Mhm.
their feelings for each other. They kiss, and Sally realizes that he was there because of the spell she cast years earlier. Sally discovers that Jimmy's spirit has possessed Jillian's body, and Gary sees Jimmy's spirit emerge. Jimmy attempts to possess Gary, only to be hurt by his silver star shaped badge and is temporarily exiled. So let's talk about the fact that we already talked about the fact that she was going into the hotel room, confessing and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But I like how now she realizes now that Gary's very up close now, and she's like, "Wait, one green eye, one blue eye." She goes, "Wait, you're someone that I made up years ago as a kid."
yeah.
And then she pulls out the star. But I also like how she
Mhm.
also tells him when she pulls out the star the first time, he goes, "There's a lot of power in this, isn't there? You can arrest people, and it may not stop the murder, but in your mind, it shows that you have power. So why can't we
Mhm.
be who we are and show that we have power too?"
Yeah. It's a talisman, she said. It has
Yeah.
power because you think it has power, and
Mhm.
it's actually really cute when you think about it, that she's like, "Oh, your little toy, it kinda makes you a little witch too. You know, you hold it up in front of people that are coming at you with weapons. You're like, 'Stop where you are. I have a star.'" You know?
I mean,
Exactly.
that is what a badge of any sort is a talisman. It's an object that gives you power, even
Mhm.
if that's social power.
An
Um,
authority, yeah.
yeah, it gives you authority. And I I love when the little girls take the syrup that Jilly put her spell in, and they're like, "Oh no." And then they go and they like dump it out into the ocean, and they're so proud of themselves. But like the girls obviously know about Gary. Um, I think that the scene where, right after that, where Sally chases him back to his hotel, to confess to him and they start kissing. It like I don't even think I noticed who goes in for the kiss first. I think it's him.
It's him, and then after that's
Yeah.
her, and then they're like, "This is a big mistake. We shouldn't be doing this." And then they wind up kissing again, and then they're on top of the bed, and yeah. But
So did he have a contact that fall out? Is that what happened?
Mm-mm.
That's what she just noticed for the first time.
right,
Mhm.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah,
Alright.
she just noticed, and then also she saw him flipping that pancake earlier, and he had the star, and she's putting it together, and she's like, "Oh, no, 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 no."
Mhm.
Um, and she's like, "I have to go now. This is a bad idea."
Yeah.
So
Sally has a way of knowing when Jilly's in danger. We see it
yeah,
earlier in the movie when she first
mhm.
rescues Jilly, and then this time she gets this sensation as she hears her girls crying.
Mhm.
that's true.
Yeah, she gets back to that house and, like, the girls are terrified because Jilly is straight, like, exorcism, like, arching off the bed. She's doing everything but, like, projectile vomiting onto a
Mhm.
priest.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, thank
I'm
goodness.
so glad that Officer Hallett was able to witness this because I don't know any sort of account, secondhand account was going to make him believe that this actually happened. I think this was
Right.
the moment when he was like, "Oh, okay. Yeah, you guys are getting away with this."
Exactly. There's no way that I can actually say, hey, look, there was a supernatural being that came at me, and I put
Mhm.
a star whenever the supernatural being came at me, and he wanted to touch my star, and it ended up frying his hand. I cannot put that on my notes. So therefore, we have to go on a technicality of you having self defense or something else
Yeah.
for that matter, because we
I
cannot.
don't
I cannot do this.
I wonder how an officer or a detective or the FBI would actually put on a report about something paranormal happening. Like, how do you write that up? Like, is there a paranormal department where they're like, "Hey, if anything seems kind of fucky, it goes to Jim." Um, like, is I just want to know. Like, listen, because I'm sure it's happened before.
Yeah. Yeah, is there a paranormal department? The
I
X-Files,
wouldn't be
if you will.
surprised. Probably
There
Area 51 files somewhere.
The CIA has actually had an entire project on astral projection. So, like, they're at least the CIA is in on it. Like, they actually hired psychics to come and, like, try and figure things out by they would give them a date and they would write a date and a place on a piece of paper. I would put it in an envelope, and then they would hand the envelope over, and the psychic could, like, touch the envelope, and they would say, "Tell me what you see." And so, they would write down, like, control things to make sure the psychic was legit, and then they would write down things in the future. And then with the astral projection, they were actually trying to use them as spies.
Oh wow.
Um, and so, like, obviously, the CIA knows the paranormal is on the up and up.
Right.
But I don't think that they're gonna share that with small town police. Could you imagine somebody being arrested in Mississippi and they're like, "Okay, but it was the demon."
Mhm.
Yeah, they're gonna put that person going up to Hattiesburg about 45 minutes away and putting them in an institution before they
Yeah,
even believe in anything. No one's gonna believe that. And
yeah.
I really like how that gets played out like that, where it's like, okay, you guys are getting away with it. I have no choice but to. But I also like how if you I actually had the subtitles on. There was actually a part where Sally goes on ahead and confronts him before they go over to the hotel. He goes, "This is like being on the Twilight Zone." He mentions the Twilight Zone in part of his dialogue, talking underneath his breath. I don't know if you guys heard that or anything,
Mhm.
but he was mumbling underneath his breath. He goes, "This is like the Twilight Zone. I don't know what to do. This
Yeah.
town is weird."
That
But,
was that was a very timely reference in 1998.
yep.
I love how she tells him that he needs to go and, like, leave her, like, arrest me, whatever. But, like, a personal thing between us can't happen because I'm always gonna wonder if it's because of my spell, and you're always gonna wonder if it's because I didn't wanna go to prison.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's so sad because, part of her is probably always wondering.
Yeah, but then also, girl, I mean, come on. Like there's a real chance at this point because when that happens, he hasn't seen the paranormal entity yet. At that
Mhm.
point, she had basically confessed to him and there was a really good chance that she really could go to jail. I don't know. Like put your whole punani in it at this point. Like you like
Right.
him, he likes
Exactly.
you. Like, why are you being coy at this point?
Right, exactly. You
There's
already pretty much broke your own code by kissing her and everything. You might as well just go for the full nine and
just
just forget about the case and throw it
Yeah.
out the window altogether because you just complicated your whole entire case. So,
I was struck actually by how so this is PG-13, the movie, but I was
Mhm.
struck how easily this movie could have been rated R.
it could have turned rated R right then and there in that one hotel room, just with that one scene
It could have,
alone.
and also with the I keep wanting to call him Lovegood, whatever his name is, Love Angel, Angel Love. Um,
Angelo?
there could have been,
Yeah, Angelo. Yeah.
there could have been some rated R scenes with them as well, like him and Jilly.
I like how they play it off safe like that, though. It was just enough to where we didn't need to see anything at all. We already know they have a sexual relationship. We already established the
Yeah.
relationship between them and how abusive he is without having to show us anything.
Right. That's such
And
a
that's
good point.
something I liked.
It's a lot more artful to be able to just imply things. Like they implied like heavy sexual situations without ever once showing a sex scene.
Exactly. Because now it'll be over sexualized and stuff like that to the point where it's mostly geared towards that versus it being about the art and what the chemistry between the douchebag and also Jillian. And then there's also the same thing when it comes down to Sally and also Gary as well.
Right.
So I'm glad that they did a simplistic type of way of actually doing it versus it showing us everything. I feel like less is more. You don't have to shoehorn everything in to show a relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also those scenes would have come at a cost. Something else would have had to be cut.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, I'm happy with
And we
their
might not even
decisions.
have the innocence of those children doing what they did with the syrup. That might actually get cut
Yeah.
for that
Right.
sex scene. So now it no longer feels like a movie that you would actually share with someone in junior high like me at the time or anything.
Yeah.
And now is feeling something different and different in
Yeah.
tone. And it's more
Well-
geared towards adults versus someone like me. Like,
This was
Junior
actually
high.
based off a book.
Oh,
Okay.
cool. Okay.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but then there's Jimmy possesses Jillian again and attempts to kill Sally before Francis and Jet return. And because remember, Sally and Jet winds up leaving and goes, "Look, you're going to clean up your own mess because
Yeah.
we're not putting up with this." And I also like the little margarita thing at 12 o'clock and midnight and everything, and sneaking Sally and Jillian downstairs. I love that aspect to it too. Sally, realizing she must embrace magic to save her sister, asks the aid of the town's women, and they form a coven to basically exercise Jimmy's spirit. Sally makes them stop when she sees that the effort might kill Jillian.
Mm-hmm.
Getting inside the circle, Sally and the town's women reenact her oath with Jillian. They are able to break the Owens curse, exorcising Jimmy's spirit and allowing the coven to exile him permanently. Sally receives a letter from Gary telling her that she and her sister are cleared of any suspicion of wrongdoing in Jimmy's case, and Gary returns to Massachusetts to be with Sally. The Owens women celebrate All Hallows Eve dressed up in witch costumes and are embraced and welcomed by the townfolk.
I love the fact that Sally is able to form an impromptu coven to help her sister get rid of her evil ex. That's just girlhood, I feel like.
Yeah.
That's
Like
girlhood.
no matter how you feel about another girl, like you get that call and they're like, "Hey, we need your help getting rid of my sister's crazy ex. Also I am a witch. I need you to come over and participate with me." Like talk less, I'll be there.
Mm-hmm.
That
Right.
is like you don't even have to know a girl for her to hate a man who's bothering you.
This actually made me want to participate in the PTO just in the off chance that someone is a witch and needs like an impromptu coven, because I would love to be like in the hall tree and to be called like,
Yes.
"Hey, we need your immediate assistance."
I can see that. I like that.
John
But,
is like, can't relate to wanting.
no, I can't,
do
and I'm
girly
trying to.
things.
But I was like, I don't have no relation to this. But though, I do like the stuff of women coming together to fight against something that is dark and trying to help this woman out. Even though they had their differences, they found a balance to actually help somebody in need versus to judge somebody like they've been doing in the past.
Mhm.
So if they have to get rid of some asshole for this one person, then they'll do it because of the
Yeah.
fact. And then also too, you also have ownership of, hey, look, I'm a witch. Everything you said about me is true. And I like how the blonde haired
Yeah.
girl from the movie Twins with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito calls up the other townswoman. She just came out. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
cracked up laughing.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that she's owning up to it now. She's not hiding who she is. And I think that's what
Right.
really pissed off the townspeople. It's like, we know who you are. Why are
Mhm.
you hiding who you are from us when we know who you are? So I
They
feel
were
like the modern day townspeople are more pissed off at the fact that they're hiding who they
Mhm.
are versus
Yeah.
them suspiciously. You know how back in the 1800s they were actually hanging people for thinking that who they are, but now they know who they are in present time. So there's a difference in balance between that, I think.
Yeah, part of it was the townspeople feeling gaslit, but I think also there's a part to like hatred
Mhm.
um and kind of this hostility that they had that really had to do with them feeling on the outside of something. And you see
Mhm.
that a lot. Like whenever there's a group of people that have a thing and it's their thing and they feel special and they feel connected, there's always another group that's like, we hate that. And I think that's really where that hate for witches come from because they obviously weren't scared of them because if you're scared of someone, you're not
Mhm.
taunting them.
No.
Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean? So it's not fear, it's jealousy. It's like,
Mhm.
I hate that you're a witch because I want to be a witch.
Exactly. You're inherited into this family and I want to be part of it, but I can't be part of it.
Mhm.
So this sucks for me, but it's good for you. So therefore I'm going to be
Yeah.
jealous of you.
Yeah, I think maybe the witch, you're a bitch taunts probably didn't help, like, the Owen sisters not gaslight the town people. Um, but also, like, the one girl, the blonde chick who
Mhm.
the mean one, like, the head of the PTO, when she came over, she was like, I've always wanted to see inside this house." Like, "Oh, you just chose to be a mean girl instead of being like, 'Hey, can I come over and hang out?'" Like,
Right.
you didn't have to be this way. Even as an adult, you're still a
Mhm.
mean girl.
Yeah, my
Uh,
petty ass would have never called her. I would have skipped right over her name in the whole
You know what?
tree.
You and I are on the same page, Rose. I'm like, why would you want this woman to help you? She was against you this whole time. I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, there's other people within this tree that I could actually go to versus her
Mhm.
in this town. I don't need her broom to help sweep up the ashes from the asshole because I can actually get somebody else that's not an asshole to sweep up the asshole. If that
Mhm. Exactly.
yeah,
It was like asshole inception, you know?
yeah. One of the things I really did like was when the ants came back, before the ants left the message with the little girls, tell your mom and your aunt clean up their own messes.
Mhm.
And I think that I guess a parent, that's such a hard lesson to have to teach your kid is clean up your own mess, whether that's your clothes, your dishes, or a dead body, like it's hard to, kind of instill that in your kids of clean up your own mess and have to let them flounder and fail.
Mhm.
Like that's such a hard lesson, but like the ants came back and they were like, okay, we let you flounder enough. We're here to assist now. And I really appreciate that they did return when they knew, like, okay, the girls have struggled enough and now they need the aunties to come and help them.
They did offer to help from the beginning, but Sally and Jilly wouldn't tell them what was going on,
Right. They're like,
Yeah.
okay, I.
which is like honestly would have pissed me the hell off too. Cause
Mhm.
you're
Yeah.
in my house and you're doing weird shit that's having an effect on me because the ants were in a trance during the whole midnight margaritas thing and they realized it
Yeah.
after Jilly broke the bottle. So they're like, what's happening? Like you're casting weird stuff in my house that's affecting me, and then you're not telling me? I would be
Right.
pissed.
Oh, yeah.
Because remember, they were again possessed by that bottle, like you mentioned, Rose. And they were singing that Elvis song too. And then if it wasn't for them crashing the bottle and everything, they would have not even known what it was happening to them. And then,
Yeah.
yeah, it's all about the consequences of, hey, look, you're doing this weird shit in my house. You're not, and you're welcome to my house, but you're not allowed to do this in my house. You're being disrespectful towards me. So why should I help you?
Mhm.
And then even whenever you have the frog that actually pukes out the ring as well, and then you also have the feet that pops up out of the ground and then goes back into the ground. So you have all
Uh-huh.
this stuff happening within the house itself and being disrespectful towards your aunts, and you're wanting to hide everything from your aunt when your aunt already knows what's going on in your house. It's like trying to hide stuff from your mom or your
Mhm.
dad, and your mom or dad already know what you did. All they
Yeah.
want you to do is confess.
Listen, the ants 10 out of 10 would have helped them hide a body.
Hmm.
Like, no questions asked. They would have helped them hide a body in a better way than just burying it. They also would have been like, hey, just in case, we're going to come in clutch and we're going to cast some of these other spells to make people think they've seen him in other places. We're going to do this. Like, the ants would have came and so they would have came with all the answers. All
Mhm.
the girls had to do was trust them.
Yeah. Do you think Sally didn't, because it seemed to be Sally's decision when the aunts were like,
Mhm.
"What's happening?" Jilly looked at Sally and Sally was like, "We had a problem when we handled it," and she didn't want to go into it. And I'm
Right.
curious now, hearing Courtney say that, if the reason is that Sally felt like a hypocrite because the whole time that she's been living with
Mhm.
the aunts, she said, "My kids will not do magic. We don't
Mm.
do magic. I'm not a witch, whatever." And then she obviously did witchy shit that got them in trouble. So I wonder if this whole mess was really just like Sally's pride of not wanting to admit that she used magic to try to solve a problem.
Right. And I think that does make her hypocritical towards her aunts because of the fact that she doesn't want her kids to be around magic, but yet she's going to help her sister do magic to cover up her sister's mistakes.
Mhm.
So therefore, yeah, you're being hypocritical towards your aunts, your own family, your own blood that could actually have your backs. So yeah, I definitely agree with you on that.
No, that definitely checks out for me, is that she just didn't wanna feel like a hypocrite.
So what do you guys think about Jillian being possessed and then they have to go ahead and lock hands together with the blood to get Jimmy out of her? I thought it was really good. I thought the special effects were really good
Mhm.
for it. I even loved how Jimmy, whenever we see him as a ghost and everything too, I thought that was really creepy as well with the special effects. I thought it was really good on how we actually have that closed door now, and now Jillian's free of him, and they're also sweeping the ashes out of the house, which also makes it to where they're innocent because the ashes are basically swept out of the area.
Yeah, I think it's just girly things, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
That's what we would all do, John. I don't know why you can't grasp that this is what we would all do.
Well, you know me, I'm a guy, so
So, as somebody who is a practitioner of certain crafts, um, sweeping things out the back door, is actually really symbolic. So, like, you sweep like, you blow cinnamon into your front door, and then you sweep bad vibes out your back door. So, like, they just swept all the bad vibes out. Um, but, like, it goes back to what Rose said earlier of, was Jimmy actually a demon? Because this didn't feel like his spirit is haunting us. This feels like, w should we have called a priest? Because that's possession, like, that it feels really ominous and really eerie, like Jimmy taking
Right.
over
Yeah.
Jilly. And so I wonder even more now seeing this second scene where he's taken over Jilly to where,
Mhm.
like, I think he might have been a demon to begin with.
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
what I'm thinking.
it was more than like a haunting, but also it could be attributed to that crazy spell that they did, right? They were warned that bringing someone back from the dead, they could come back as something dark and unnatural. So it could be explained with that. But I love
Mhm.
the theory that he was a demon to begin with. Because again, this is a universe where magic is real. And
Right,
once you open up that Pandora's box, what else is real? If witches are
Well,
real, what else is real?
right.
Jilly said he's already dark and unnatural.
Mhm.
So, honestly, his behavior before and after he died, not much different.
Right.
That's very true. I mean, this is a supernatural type of movie with stuff. We even talked about how atmospheric it is,
Mhm.
stuff like that within its own self. So yeah, I like that theory a lot better than the ones I found. So I think this will be a new fan theory that I can post on Reddit and give you
Do
guys
it.
credit for it.
Report back.
Because seriously, I love the theories that you guys have for real.
Thanks.
Because I like these a lot better than the ones I found, and it also makes a lot more sense. Because I found the ones on Reddit a lot more bland, and I'm like, this does not make sense. This is someone that's just trying to have that big, huge conspiracy wall and trying to put arrows everywhere. But yours, what you guys came up with, is a lot more makes a lot more sense.
You are braver than I am. I am a Reddit lurker. I do not post on Reddit. I will dive down some pretty deep rabbit holes. But I don't post on there because someone's gonna be like, "No, you stupid dumb bitch."
Yeah.
That is wrong.
Hosting on Reddit is a whole other level of brave.
Trust me, I did it when I first started out in podcasting. It's like, I actually got kicked out of a community, and I didn't even realize I was in a community because I didn't understand how Reddit worked.
Oh no!
So it's like, this is shit. I'm like, well, I felt good about it, but I'm sorry that you feel like my stuff is shit. But I'm gonna go and kick myself in the balls now, and then go to sleep.
I'm gonna go cry now. Oh no!
But yeah, Reddit is one of those things that you can go down a hole and you never come back out of. Because I've found a couple of good fan theories, and some of them are just like so out there and wacky to the point where like I'm not even gonna worry with this.
Right.
But all in all, though, now that we stripped away the nostalgia, do you guys still feel like it's 10 out of 10? What do you guys feel?
I love it. I'm telling you, on this rewatch, I've watched it many times and we recapped it on our podcast as well. But something about this rewatch just made me appreciate the writing, the storytelling, the performances are pretty stellar. Like Sandra Bullock as a grieving, desperate woman begging her aunts to bring her husband back from the dead. That was a pretty stunning performance. And then Nicole Kidman, first of all, being horny the whole film, love that. But also her being possessed as well, really great performance. And when she was in the middle of the circle and she's like writhing on the ground, it's great performances. I loved it. Even the kids were really good. Sometimes kids are hit or miss. We try not to judge
just
them.
Annoying.
Right. I mean, like it's hard because they're kids, right? So sometimes there'll be a kid in a movie and their acting is a little off, like they're not that great, but everyone like no one comments on it because they're a kid. But these kids were phenomenal.
Agreed.
The little girls were phenomenal. And honestly, I think that all of the actors and actresses in this movie have such great chemistry with each other. Like there wasn't a single interaction where I was like, that feels weird or that feels off. Like everything was just so seamless. The music choices, the little sound clips they have that we talked about at the beginning, they're playing in the background. They just kind of offer that vibey feel throughout the whole movie. Like again, this movie holds up for me like all the time. And like I said at the beginning, we had that part where Maria jumps from the gallows and that second where she's staring at the crowd and the crowd staring at her. Like I had realized it happened before, but I never really like took a chance to appreciate it. And I don't know, it's still a 10 for me. It's always going to be a 10 for me.
All right. I'm actually going to go higher on it. I'm going to go like a 9.8 out of 10.
All right.
Yeah. Because of how I was. But yeah, I really loved it. I really love seeing this again. And I actually had one of those moments like you did, Rose, where I actually thought it was Julia Roberts that was in this movie and not I thought it was Sandra Bullock and Julia Roberts for some reason.
Oh.
That was in this movie for some odd reason. I didn't think of it as Nicole Kidman. And I don't know what it was about that I thought that. But I'm like, oh, okay, so it wasn't Julia Roberts.
That's so weird. I can't, because I feel like Sandra Bullock and Julia Roberts are kind of like the same genre of character. Like I can't see them in the same movie, like playing opposite each other because they're the same genre. They're kind of the same, like quirky, charming, stutters a little bit, a little clumsy,
Right.
I couldn't have seen that, but
Diane West as Aunt Jet was probably my favorite character out of this. She played in Edward Scissorhands. I just want to correct myself on who the actress was because I was drawing a blank
Yes.
earlier. But yeah. All in all, this was a great rewatch. I'm glad I got a chance to rewatch this with you guys. I'm glad that we reviewed this. My question for you guys is this: is what do you have coming out for your podcast? Where can people follow you and all that other good stuff? And I'll go into my tags later.
Yeah, so we are again Fiction Fixation Podcast, and we do movie recaps.
Oh, I was breathing. I wasn't trying to interrupt you. I was just breathing.
No, I realized I feel like I was like, okay, that's the end of a sentence, and Courtney's like, continue your sentence, and I'm like,
Rossi does that. Like I do that with Rossi. I'm like, and I was like, and I have, and she's like, there's a blank. I'm like, Rossi, yeah.
To be fair, I do usually talk longer when I say that, but yeah, we
Right.
recap movies, and so you can find us on wherever you listen to podcasts, and then on social medias. Courtney.
Yeah, our most recent episode was Whip It, starring Elliot Page and Drew Barrymore. And our next episode is going to be, what did we just record?
Oh, geez, what did we just record?
You sound like me right now because I'm actually
um,
looking through my stuff that I'm going to be doing soon.
We did Die Hard like right before Christmas, and then we
Mhm.
just did Whip It. We've gone to like an every other week thing. Oh, we just did The Mummy, which was
The
so
Mummy.
fun.
That
Yeah.
movie is a fun movie to review. I did that a
Oh
couple
my
of years back.
gosh, it's so fun. I'm realizing because we did like Die Hard, the Mummy. I'm just realizing how much these like 1990s movies
Mhm.
hold up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's amazing of how hard and the craftsmanship that everybody puts into
Mhm.
and everything in the 90s movies and stuff compared to some of the movies that we have today.
Yeah, I mean, they're
Yeah.
not the kind of movies that you just watch once and forget. They're the kind of movies you want to rewatch.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Because
The
you pick up
quality's
something
there.
different every single time.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's just there, you can see something in the background or something, and then you might wind up noticing something that you didn't see before or anything like that.
The Mummy is such a well done movie. We really enjoyed it. And our next recording, and Rose is finding out here with you.
What are
um,
we
gonna
doing?
be Clueless.
Oh my god,
Okay.
I'm so excited.
I know. I'm having such nostalgia lately. We did Die Hard and then Whip It, which is a newer,
Yeah.
I guess, compared to the other ones. Whip It
Yeah.
is newer. And then we did The Mummy. And yeah, no, Clueless has been on my to-do list forever. And I was just like, okay, no, we're gonna do it.
I love it. I'm really enjoying the older movies. The nostalgia's just there. They
Mhm.
hold up. Yeah.
I
It gives us the serotonin we need to
Mhm.
sort of survive.
I gotcha. I'm right there with you with the nostalgia stuff because I like the 80s and 90s vibe of watching movies and stuff. And I do watch some new stuff and things like that too, even though I review a lot of TV shows lately. But
Mhm.
yeah, I dive into a little bit of everything. But so
Yeah.
coming up on January 3rd, I'm going to be doing my most anticipated movies of 2025. I'm going to be doing that. And then on March 2nd, I'm going to be doing the Cable Guy review with It Doesn't Hold Up podcast with Stu. I can't wait to have them back again. We did the Blank Check review not too long ago, and we had a blast with that. So yeah, that's everything over here. And also, too, don't forget next Wednesday, Rossi will be with me at 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. We're going to be doing our Dexter original sin reviews. And a matter of fact, I've been doing that every single time whenever I'm watching the original sin episodes. So yeah, go on ahead, check that out. Thank you, Rose. Thank you, Courtney, so much for joining me for Practical Magic. I'm glad that you guys enjoyed this just as much as I did. And I'm hoping to have you guys back on again. I love having you guys on here. And guys, go and have fun. They have a fantastic podcast. I really enjoyed listening to their stuff. I've actually just started listening to the Die Hard one. So I can't wait to hear your thoughts on that. So yeah, guys. So always until next time, guys. Have a great and safe day. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.